Ruth,
Mhm.
would you say, and you can drop names or not? No, maybe not.
I'm dropping.
Like I'm dropping receipts. Would you say that it is typical for you to be flirted with or approached or even
Yeah.
um,
No.
or even proposed an engagement of some sort
Mhm.
with someone who's already in a relationship that is not non-monogamous, and you receive maybe a DM or a flirty comment or something like that. How often do you get them? First of all, how often do you get them? And how would you say you typically react, or how would you suggest someone reacts in those situations?
Good questions. Um, I do get them, but generally from people that I'm not that close with. So
Hmm.
people that I don't really know, it's like ancillary friends or acquaintances, but I know personally that they're in a relationship because social media.
Hmm.
Um, in those circumstances, when I have no kind of connection to it, I just ignore it.
Hmm.
When I do, then I think that's when it gets sticky. I think it was the the worser form of that is like I remember I had friends back in the day, and this one girl that I knew, every time she got a new boyfriend, he was always hitting, like each boyfriend that she got was always like hitting on me behind the scenes. I knew who she was going to end up with by the first time she got with a new guy, and he didn't do that. And I was like, oh, well, this is like a solid guy. Yeah. And that's such a low bar. That's such
No,
a
it is
low
a low
bar.
bar. And it's hard. Like, I hate to be like this, but like, you're a very attractive young woman.
Thank
Chances are,
As are you.
chances are, the majority, if not all, of your friends and friend group look similar to you, are attractive, just as attractive, love dressing up like you, take care of themselves like you. Not that I think all women are beautiful, all people are beautiful in their own way. Let's just get that out of the way. I don't want people trolling me.
Her Instagram handle is.
But I will say, like, that's, sometimes, like you were saying, personality wise, you attract kind of the same people that your personality is like a lot of the time. I think that's the same for looks, or like sexual. I don't know how to
I
describe that.
agree. I definitely think my group of friends are, and I could just just love them, but I
Yeah.
think everybody I hang out with is very good looking
Yeah.
and very smart and very successful.
Mhm. And it's hard because, not to be like this, but I've had a wide array of different partners that their group of friends have been a wide array of attractive level. You'll sometimes be dating the hottest friend out of the group. Not to be like that, but like with women, it must be like, oh, I'm dating a really hot girl. Fuck, I'm gonna meet her friend. And then you go to the Cheesecake Factory or something, and there's like 7 Beckys that look amazing, and you're just like,
Like,
like I don't know, maybe I'm being cynical, but like I do think like it's hard. I don't know.
well, tell me, like, does it? I know it happens. It has to happen to you.
Yes. So like not a lot. Like it's weird. I'm friends with a lot of, again, really attractive women, and really attractive men, and it's happened to me, mm, especially towards the end of my relationship, and then especially as soon as people found out that I was single.
Mhm, mhm.
And that's a whole other subgenre.
Yeah.
People hitting on you that were friends with your ex partner.
Oh, oh my God.
Let's talk about it, but let's table that because I want to
We'll
talk
come
about
back to
that.
it. We'll circle
That
back.
at most shocked me. That was like oh wow, you knew us as a couple, and you were like waiting
Oh yeah.
until like I was on the market, which is weird. Okay, but anyway, yes, been hit on by people that are in relationships. It always fucks me up because then I lose faith in humanity because I'm like, oh, I thought you were a good one. Like, your girlfriend seems fucking cool.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous. She fucking has her shit together. Sorry for all my cussing, but like
That's the way.
she
Yeah.
looks awesome. She looks like someone I'd be a friend with. She's definitely someone I'm like already peeping at and like, wow, I could be jealous in like 5 seconds if I really stalked her Instagram, like of like qualities about her, how pretty she is, or her body, or what have you, right? And then they slide in, and you're like, ain't you tired? Like, like, why are you not satisfied in your relationship? And why do you think it's okay to come to someone who knows, well aware that you are in a relationship, and I always bring it up. That's like my deflect, right? Is like if I can't tell if they're just being nice
Yeah.
or flirting, which I don't think it's typically the former with men, but you never know. Some men are very nice and in relationships. So I always try to assume that, right? That they're just being nice and friendly and conversational. But then they add a comment in there, a compliment, something objectifying, and I go, how's your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Always. Oh, how's
That's a great rebuttal.
yeah.
That's a great rebuttal.
I do it a lot, and sometimes they're like nonchalant about it. Oh, she's great. Thanks for asking. Go right back to their tactics of, Some
Wow.
are like, I've gotten some that are like, nice subject change, and they know that I'm like calling them on it.
Yeah.
And most recently, I had someone who I find so attractive,
That makes it way bad.
like so bad. Like it's so sad because this man is like, and I'm well aware that he's in a relationship. We have a really good friendship. We always knew that about our dynamic. Like he's in a relationship, nothing, maybe some flirty energy, but I've always kept it really clean because I'm like, he is wifed up, like not my trajectory. But of course, we have friendship and we compliment each other on our work and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he recently hit me up and I was like, did the how'd you go? And then he was like, oh, she's good. It's great. But, like this is something we could just do. And like,
Oh, wait, he's straight.
straight up, like no chill, was like, we can do this. And it would be something he said something around, and like, God bless him for having the balls. But like, he said something around the lines of like, this is something that we can like laugh about when we're older and like say that we got to do. And like even
Does that
explicitly
make you think, how many other girls have you either done this with or are currently doing this with? Yeah.
And it's interesting because he is gorgeous, like I told you, and that doesn't excuse it. Like if I think it makes it easier for me to go, because I'm like attracted to him. If he was not attractive, in my opinion, it would be easier. Like, ew, gross, stop.
Yeah, no,
But because I'm attracted to him, I'm like, stop touching me. But he, in my personal experience with him, women do come up to him a lot and women do probe him a lot. And he's typically cool as a cucumber. Like I've seen this man straight up turn women down, like blatantly, like girls flirting with him and him be like, okay. And like walk away. And I'm like, oh, he's cold blooded. But with me, he's different with me. And that makes me want to be like,
I know, like I'm special.
like, no, like he has a gorgeous woman at home. He should be happy. He seems happy. Why is he hitting me up? And okay, so I'll do the follow up and I want to ask more about your experiences with this. And this kind of ties in. How does one go from that? Right. I've had the instinct of like, do I hit up their woman? Like as a fellow woman who, like, if my friend was cheating or was being cheated on and I heard about it, I would tell my friend right away, like even if it hurt, even if she hated me for it, I feel like I'd ultimately have to do that. I'd have to be like, fuck, I heard about this. I'm so sorry. Like, and so a part of me wants to be like, your man slid into my DMs, like he got lost, come and get him. But then I'm also like, it's not my place. I don't know the dynamic of their relationship.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first off, I think I love that that's where your heart goes. I love that that's what you like as a woman and as a strong woman and as a protector of women. That's what you want.
Yeah.
It's fucked up that men put you in that position because honestly, like it shouldn't even be that way. Like figure out your shit at home and then decide what you're doing, or be like upfront and say, like, if you do have an open relationship, say we have an open relationship and this is totally fine. Like, but don't put somebody else in that position.
Totally. And I'll even bring this up. This is a personal experience that I went through that you actually are involved in, correlated to. I had someone who was in a open relationship try and talk to me and flirt with me. And I was very attracted to this person. I wanted to be with this person. I knew they were dating someone, but it did seem very fluid. Yeah. They had told me multiple times, it's totally fine. We're not dating exclusively. I promise we're not dating exclusively. And, my ass wanted to believe him. And I did for a certain amount of time. Thank God I think my like moral compass just knew that he was full of shit and never let it get too far. But then lo and behold, full circle, I tell you about it. Your friend is that person he was dating. And you're like, that was not what her impression of the relationship was. And it broke my heart because I would never want to be the other woman.
Yeah.
And again, it never got too far
Yeah.
as far as a relationship.
Again, it's just putting you in that position to go against what your moral standards are because you're being told something that's not accurate.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's where it's hard too, because it's like, even if they do tell you they're in an open relationship, how much do you trust them?
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, I almost told myself, reach out to her at that time because I really liked him. And I wanted to make sure it was cool as fuck. Like she was cool with it. But then it's like, what are what's their dynamic? Does she want to know who he's fucking? Like, so I don't want to be like, hey, I'm trying to get with your man. And her,
she's like, I'm not supposed to know that. Yeah.
So then it's a weird ass dynamic. And again, some people might drag me for this. Like, that's not your place at all. And I agree. But then I'm also like, I wish I would have known that, because if I would have known that, that would avoid her some heartbreak, hopefully, like, because it broke my heart. I was able to talk to her. We've arranged some things.
I put myself in the middle. I was like, listen, let me tell you.
No, but I'm so glad you did. Like, and like, of course, I was as forthcoming about every single aspect of my dynamic with him, because she deserved to know, in my opinion. She deserved to know exactly what happened, not only to her, what she felt comfortable hearing. Thankfully, like I said, it didn't get far, but like, it obviously hurt her after the fact. And then she also needed that kind of validation to be like, I wasn't crazy. I knew he was like trying to get around. But like, if I would have intercepted and maybe reached out to her earlier and said like, hey, like, even if I didn't come at it, like, but it's so hard to be like, are you in blank in a committed relationship? And then her be like, yeah, of course. And then I'm like, fuck that guy. And then it totally derails my whole dynamic with him. But moral of the story, you never know. And it's like, it's hard. I think try and do your part. But I want to hear, like, how do you feel about, like, I know we've kind of talked about it, but not really in length. How do you feel about like reaching out to someone? It feels very cringeworthy and not a thing to do.
No, it's such a hard thing. And again, I'll say each scenario is different. I think it depends on everybody that's involved in it. If I knew something, but everybody that was involved with it, I was very close to all three of or however many people were involved, like it would be very hard for me to then be that person that told anybody anything, because I would, that relationship dynamic. But I don't know. I'm such a conflict avoider. Like, I feel like I would want to say that I would say something, but I feel like I would also just be like, well, let me just step away and it'll go away.
Yeah. And my instinct is confrontation, like, and not in a negative, like, I don't like picking fights by any means, but if something's bugging me, I typically
I wish I was more like that. Like,
I wish I was probably more like you, in certain things. Like, I probably could have kept my mouth shut on certain things, but it is interesting because, like, yeah, my instinct goes, message her. And like, because wouldn't you, like, even though you would hate that text, even though you would be like so fucking mad, and you'd probably be mad at the girl that didn't, wouldn't you ultimately, if you were in a long-term relationship with this person, you heard that they were fucking around, you didn't know that was happening, wouldn't you be like, oh, that motherfucker? And wouldn't you be like, then you can make the conscious decision, keep him, take him, let him beg for forgiveness, or just be like, you know what, not my time, not worth my time and energy. Like, if he's gonna fuck around behind my back, I don't trust him, and I don't want to be with that. And then that might save you a divorce. I don't know. It's like, it's hard. And I don't know what to do. And I hate men putting me in this position. And I'm sure you do too.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you probably haven't experienced this because like you've only had your one main relationship.
Yeah.
But then there's also the aspect of ex-boyfriends who are in new relationships reaching out while they're in that new relationship.
Yeah.
Which is always precious.
I love that. I've heard that happens all the time. Like, I know plenty of friends that have had that. But I think oh God, yeah. like I said, my main past relationship, he would never do that, and because he's just too prideful. He would never let me know that, like, right? Which is fine, like, kudos. But other people that I had loosely dated before have done that, where
Yeah.
it's they're with a new chick and they do the whole they facade it, right? They like do the whole like, I just wanted to see how you're doing.
No, I have an experience where I used to like see this guy when I in my hometown, and I
Mhm.
went back to visit, and I hadn't seen him in years, and like I was like obsessed with this guy, and like he was a little bit older than me, and he was like, oh, I'm not like ready to like settle down, like da da da, and I'm like, okay, and then I moved to California, and then years and years pass. And then I
Yeah.
go back, he's married with kids. And he was like, but you're my unicorn. Like, just meet me at this hotel room. Let me just like literally.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot, because that was like blatant to the point that's like, oh, whew, yeah. How do you deal with that? Like, how do you just not fucking burn his ass? Like, how do you not just like send that screenshot to his wife and be like, kill him,
Yeah.
kill him? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not even like a like woman club man haters.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I love men. I love
I,
like there's so many great aspects of men that like it's just
yeah,
like
and I have so
yeah,
many great men in my life that I'm like,
yeah.
that I am so thankful to know and learn from every day. And that's where I'm like, it does lose my faith in like the general humanity that people do that. I'm like, ugh. But you brought up a great point that maybe should be our next topic, or maybe we just get into it right now.
Mhm.
The unicorn aspect. How many fucking times have you heard that shit? That you're the one, that you're special, you're a unicorn. If I had $5 for every time I heard that shit, I would be a rich ass woman. And I
I think
can't
it loses its appeal because it's such a line now. It's just like, no, like tell me something specific. What makes me special? Like, what have I done personally?
itemize every single thing you love
Yeah,
about me in order. Yeah.
give me an Excel sheet and I'll get back to you.
No, it's true though. Like, especially you. I feel like, of course, you've had to have heard that. Like,
Oh,
you're the one.
thank you. I think
I mean, you're my one. You're literally. I'm like, who's Ruth? She's my one. But no, it's true. Like, yeah, people that I've not even had relationships with, literally never had relationships with. We've talked about maybe talking at some point,
yeah.
and they will come back and say, but there was always something special about you. Really?
Yeah.
Okay, what?
Tell me.
Yeah. And I think
I personally can give you a list right now about yourself. If they can't fucking come up with one.
well, and they do, but then I also, it's like, a lot of the time it's their perception of me, or them putting me on a pedestal of like this incomparable human that no one is, right? They're like, oh, you do this and you do this and you treat me like this, and that's why you're the one. And I'm like, this is your perception of who I am at all times, and no one can live up to that, and I don't want to live up to that, and I'd love to be the one for you, but I just don't think I am.
Yeah.
And it's a subject though, because it does make you. I fall victim to it. You go like,
Oh, for sure. I mean, especially if it's somebody that you're interested in or like have some kind of connection with. If they say that, then you're just like, who me?
yeah, totally. I fucking all the time. Like, if that happens, if that line is said, and it's laid out in different ways, right? I'm just like going through all of the lines that you hear. But it's true, and I hear that, and of course my heart flutters a little, and I'm like, oh, I could be that one, right? And the one is such a concept
Yeah,
too
also
that we could tackle too.
that'll be another.
But yeah, it's interesting because then I'm like, how much are you projecting on me, or of who you think you want me to be, or who you want your person to be, and you think I fit into that puzzle piece, but how much do you really know about me to be able to say that?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had a guy that I like talked to like years and years. I was like, I think I was in high school. Maybe I just graduated high school when I was talking to this guy. And again, like we were young, like nothing really like came of it. but he knew my family, like he knew my stepbrother and stuff like that. And a few years back, like he started calling me on Facebook and I wouldn't pick up. And then he started calling my entire family and saying that like he knew we were meant to be together. Like this is like from I was like 17 when this happened, maybe younger, 17, 16. And then 30 years old and all of a sudden he's like bound and determined to like convince me that I'm the one. I'm like, you have no conception of who I am as a human being from that age to this age.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love the audacity of some people. Like, genuinely, like I hear these stories and it's not far fetched at all. Like, of course, it makes my mouth agape a little. I'm like, what the fuck? Someone actually did that, especially stocky with your family. Like, I hate that. That makes me so uncomfortable. Yes. But then I'm also like, yeah, people, their brains do crazy shit sometimes where they can convince themselves that this fleeting relationship that they had with you 10 years ago completely justifies their strong ass feelings for you now. And ultimately they just knew that you're the perfect one.
Funny. I haven't thought of a lot of these stories for so long, and just having like this conversation with you, it's like bringing up all of these examples. I'm like, wow, a lot of like weird shit. Like it's crazy. Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I've gotten it more times than I thought I would at this point in my life. And that's not like a, like, I genuinely, every single time I'm like, please don't say that. You don't know me. Like, and a lot of the time it's like love bombing is a huge thing. We talk about that as well. I've had people in my life tell me they love me before it feels like an appropriate time.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was actually going to bring that up earlier too, so I'm glad you brought it up, because even from the girl side, I feel like a lot of girlfriends that I have will be like shortly into a relationship and they're like, oh, he said he loved me. I'm like, he doesn't even know you. Like the word has no power, no like weight to it at all. He doesn't know who you are. He can't possibly love you. He might like a lot of things about you, but he can't love you.
No, I completely agree. I'm way more cynical on that end. Like, it's going to hit you in some weird ass way if you're really in love with someone. It's not going to be like, it's going to be like you wake up and you see their morning hair and they have morning breath and you're still into it and you're like, wow, damn. Fuck, I love you. You know, it's not like, oh, we've had 5 magnificent romantic dinners where both of us were perfectly kept and everything has been perfectly curated and you've only told me all of the best things about your personality now that I love you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's interesting, and I remember, oh God, it's like flashbacks. But when people do that, that's pressure on you in the relationship, and you go, oh fuck, like not only do you go, oh, I'm not there, should I be there? How are they there?
Yeah,
I'm deserving of love. Like, it's a whole thing, right? You're like, oh, but I'm deserving of love, and I'm deserving of their love. But like, then you go like, how could they love me? And then it goes into like the negative spiral of like, yeah, how could they love me? Like, with what they know, you know? And it's a lot. It's exhausting. And I think, yeah, I mean, this stemmed from like such a different concept or like topic. But I think it's true in so many ways of like people perceiving you a certain way or putting you in a certain bubble in relationships or putting you in unfortunate circumstances, right? Whether that be making you be the other woman or putting you in that, or like, you know, someone or you find out that they're cheating or something like that. And they're like, don't tell her. And you're like, how am I not supposed to tell her? You know, it's like shit like that. Yeah. You're just like, you're fucking high. But then also, people over like I say pedestaling you on the pedestal of like, oh, you're great and you do this and then you're like, but I don't. And then they're like, stop it. And you're like, no, I really don't. And they're like, stop. And you're like, this is not healthy for anyone involved in this dynamic. And then also this last one of like putting the cart before the horse, like just totally either saying I love you before even being capable of feeling those feelings, telling your family that you've been meant to be for years. That's wild. Oh my God, I want to hear more about that. But like, yeah, I mean, you can speak on it too. It seems like you've obviously had multiple experiences like that. And I think it's, as women, we just kind of chalk that as like, that's the woman experience. We are going to experience men making us feel uncomfortable in certain
I mean, I've
ways.
had experiences even in my previous job where I worked in a somewhat like not sales, but like I had to pitch things to different companies, and so I would have meetings with different representatives all the time, and I had a guy that was married that made me feel very uncomfortable to the point where I felt like he was going to come to my work location and and he lived in another state. Like that's how uncomfortable he made me feel. Like I felt like he was literally going to fly to California and come to my work. And I had to hand off the account. Like I was like, I can't work with this guy. Like it was, and I'm not like easily like just so let me say I'm not easily like
Bothered in that way.
uncomfortable. Like I will talk about anything. I will like I'm a flirt. Like I fine with people flirting back with me. Like it
Yeah.
was like to the point where I was like, I can't work with this guy.
No. Yeah, I was just gonna say you are definitely, I can attest. She's not easily bothered. For you to be put in that situation, it's so unfortunate and upsetting. And unfortunately, it is somewhat normal.
Yeah.
Like you telling me that doesn't shock me,
Yeah.
and
That's a
that
sad thing.
really
That's
breaks
the
my
sad
heart.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a thing for you, and yeah, yeah. It's when I had this is a little different, but I worked with someone. I'm an actress. I've been in shows with people where you have to play romantic interest with people. You're kissing on them, loving on them, but everything is staged typically, obviously. Um, yeah. So I was in a show once with a couple, both the male and the female of the couple, and I was playing opposite of the male in the relationship, and we had to do like a simulated sex scene. Also, we had to do a lot of kissing, a lot of butt grabbing, a lot of, it was like a long term relationship. So it was like very handsy, very comfortable with each other. And he even made me so uncomfortable all the time. He would just say shit all the time. His girlfriend was in the show with me, and I really loved and admired and was really good friends with the girlfriend at the time. Needless to say, at the end of the show, we were not as close because he had made both of us so uncomfortable with his comments and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like I remember crying to my boyfriend at the time, and I was just like, he makes me feel so uncomfortable because it was, he would make comments. Of course, it was like he felt like he had this safety blanket, right? Because he was in a relationship with that girl, and I knew that, and everyone knew that. But then he would say shit like, "Oh, both of my girls are here today," and he would always say like, "My work wife" and shit like
Oh
that. And I'm
my
like, "I'm not
god.
your work wife." Like that,
No.
and that's a thing too. People have work
Yeah.
work husband. That's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I just remember like, especially in a work environment like that, you have this trust that people will respect you for who you are and what you bring to the table professionally.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, that's stepped over for sexuality or other, yeah, unfortunate wants and needs or circumstances. So sorry you had to go through that.
Well, to bring the mood
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
that's
sorry.
a good one though. Honestly, I think there's a lot that again, like if you guys have any comments or anything to add to the conversation, comment below. Let us know what you think. Expand on what we've talked about. Talk about it with your friends. Like make this normal.
Yeah. If anyone wants to give me an answer as far as like, do we DM the girl or not?
Yes.
Very
Yes.
controversial, but I do want to hear what people would do in that situation.
Yeah, I would love to hear that as well.
Especially because I'm not friends, and I'm not even, let's table my relationship with this, but like, say, hypothetically speaking, someone who's in a relationship hits you up, you don't know their significant other at all, but they're definitely stepping over the lines of like, it does not seem like they're making it clear enough that it would be cheating. It's not a dynamic that's open and fluid. Do you reach out to their significant other?
Good question. Let us know.
This has been The Invested Life with Adam Khalil. Remember to remain invested in yourself and all aspects of your life.